All right, welcome back to Built for Profit podcast. I got Mr. Warren from Raleigh, North Carolina calling in today. I am fired up to have this conversation. We've been talking about business, talking about faith, and how both of those things are very much intertwined. And so super excited to dive into this conversation. Runs Raleigh Floors in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so fired up to see how he gets to serve people as well. So number one, Warren, thanks for being a part of the podcast. And number two, let's just get you started by saying, who is Warren and how did you even get into the flooring business?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Who is Warren? Oh yeah, appreciate it. Glad to be here. And glad to chat with you. Yeah. So Raleigh Flooring, I started it in 2021. My journey to doing all this is pretty wild. I went to NC State, Wolfpack, Go Pack.
Let's go.
While I was at State, kind of got introduced. I'll try to keep it brief, but I got to college. Basically, came from a small town, broken home. Just college was kind of my ticket out, and got to college and struggled with, to be honest, it was video game addiction and pornography. And I got put on academic probation. I was on federal aid, and it's kind of like rubber met the road. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to pay for this one way or another. So
Yeah.
let me out. Got introduced to kind of radically what relationship with Jesus looks like. I'd grown up in the church, but it was fresh and new. And a part of that also was a part of that new relationship was just asking God, what should I do? And opportunity with one of the college pro painter, college works painting. There's a couple of them out there, but basically it's a crash course. They take you out on the weekend, teach you how to run a painting business, and then kick you to the curb and see who flies.
Okay.
I'm a very introverted, very systems, programming is what I was originally in school for. So, knocking on doors, trying to convince people to let me paint their house was really difficult. But even before joining that, because it kind of seemed like a very fratty kind of culture, I was hesitant to do all that, but just felt like I heard a yes. So, all right, I'm going to do this. By the end of the first summer that I did it, I think I had made like $3,000 working 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I mean, it was just absolute night. By the end, like I got to the end, I was like, okay, lesson was hard work. Got it. Got the lesson. All right. And fast forward a few years later, through my church, I had experienced a lot of breakthrough, a lot of freedom from a lot of those past addictions. But was meeting with at the time a worship pastor, her husband. She was like, you should just meet with him, talk with him. So I met with him, talked with him, chatted with him, and he said he felt like he's had a calling for business in his life, and he feels like he's supposed to leave his job and start a painting business. He had no idea that about what I had done.
And you were like, don't do it.
It's I had sworn off I'm never touching a paintbrush again. But then he shared that, and I was like, well, I've paid down the ignorance tax. I kind of know how to. He bought a training, and it was basically the same exact playbook that I had already learned. And so anyway, together we started a painting business and grew that relatively quickly to about 2 million revenue.
Wow.
I was mainly on the operations side. He kind of was mainly on the sales side. And I was all sweat equity. He put up everything. So it was really a phenomenal opportunity for me. The vision was always to go out and do something on my own. So under that umbrella, we were both kind of experimenting with windows, doors, roofing, flooring. Like we were doing siding. We were doing a lot. There was a big opportunity. I want to say it was 2020, COVID, or right around COVID, which was great for home improvement, at least for a lot of people. There was a big out of town developer that bought a 200 unit property to flip it, and we basically did all the finishes on that property, even some windows and doors. So he actually, my partner, started a window door company, and then I used that, at least with flooring, to get those vendor relationships are a little bit harder to get into, and to get with the manufacturers. So that was a kind of my entry ticket, and used that I left the painting and then started Raleigh Flooring in 2021. And it's been humbling. I got married, bought a house, renovated a house, and started a business all in 2021.
Wow.
So kind of the crash course of refinement has been felt like the last 4 years. And
Yeah.
then we've got 2 kids now, 3-year-old, 1-year-old, and 1 on the way. So
Let's go, man.
yeah, the glasses hide the bags under my eyes.
That's good.
It's been, yeah, marriage in and of itself is refinement. Parenthood in and of itself is refinement.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship itself is refinement. So I have gone through a lot of pruning and still a lot more pruning to go, but little
Yeah,
by little.
Warren. That is so good, man. I think there's so many points that you made there. Obviously, the part that I love so much is that Jesus radically transformed your life, redeemed your life. I think that's obviously, like you said, a huge part of your story, and even getting into what you're going to do now, completely it's almost like you did a whole 180 of like, okay, it's going into software and the whole world that way. He radically changed you, and now you're running this flooring business. And man, and to your point, I think, yeah, I definitely want to talk more about that as we kind of hear more of your journey. But then also just the blessing of marriage, parenting. I'm also a new dad, so we got a 14-month-old
Right on.
as well that loving every minute of it. But you're right, it's definitely challenging. I've heard the twos and the threes get even more challenging. Trying to live in the moment for sure. But the thing, I go back to business as well. I mean, similar to parenting, it challenges you, and it's like it's the ultimate personal development machine, right? It's like it exposes you, it challenges you. And I think the beauty of that is being dependent on the Lord to say, like, what I mean, He's gonna get you through those seasons of continuing to kind of persevere and push through.
Yeah.
But cool. Okay, so obviously you're going on 5 years in, I guess, right? For Raleigh Flooring.
Yeah. Coming up. For with under the painting business, ego and humility have been a big theme in my life. And so
Yeah.
where I am now is kind of where I thought I deserved to be, where I should be, even when I first started, and it's just been a very humbling experience, where I lacked leadership, authority, even just leading a sales team, leading a lot of the stuff that doesn't come easy to me, that I kind of took for granted, that were a lot of my partner's giftings at the time. I've kind of had to go back and just kind of look at the mirror and say, man, I really don't know what I'm doing here. I
Yeah.
really don't have the authority. I really don't have the leadership that I need to be able to steward what I want to steward. So
It's good.
it's been a lot of seeking counsel, a lot of really just coming, sit on my knees, like, Lord, I don't know what to do here. So help
Yeah.
me. And but it's been really, really good, really powerful. We're coming up on, so starting 2021, I've basically gone through kind of a rebuild of, like, team members, letting people go, kind of rebuilding the team from the ground up. I've
Yeah.
just gone through a lot in that time, but even still have seen about 30% year over year growth.
Wow.
And this year pacing for 50% growth.
Wow.
With that is even challenges. Cash flow's a big, a big constraint right now that I'm just
Yeah.
trying to, make sure I don't. I'm used to betting the farm, and as the resources grow, as the pool grows, I can't keep betting the farm. Like, I've got to
Yeah.
back. I'm very whatever the opposite of risk adverse is. Like, I like going all in. I like going
Yeah.
all in.
Yeah.
Like, as the tree grows, I kind of gotta be smarter about how I delegate resources. And so there's been
Oh,
a lot of.
yeah, that's so good, man. Well, congrats, number one, on just seeing the exponential growth that you've seen. There's a lot of people in this world that can't say that at all. So the fact that you're growing at that pace is pretty powerful. And so, what do when you look out towards the next, 5 years of Raleigh Flooring, like what are you dreaming about? What does that look like?
Yeah, no, I mean, my vision, and if this is a big, shoot, aim for, what do they say, aim for the stars, you hit the moon.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I've kind of loosely come to this conclusion, like, I'm going to keep riding this wave. Within 30 years, I want to be a billionaire, and the path to that is 75 regional locations, each doing 15 million apiece. So the
wow,
first that is getting Raleigh Flooring to 15 million, and
yeah,
we're at right now. So next year the goal is 5, and then the year after that, kind of, there's a big jump between this year and next year, just because I'm making a big sales push. But then once I get to that kind of stage, learning, I've spent a lot of time on systems. Spent a lot of time on how do we do what we do, cutting out, trimming fat, cutting out, like, we can't be all things to all people. We just
yeah,
do flooring exceptionally well, and sticking to that system. So at the 5 million stage, once I get there, like, there's a lot more people involved. So then there's going to be kind of this middling spot between 2 and 10, where I can't afford the upper management that I need at 10, but I need it to get from two, so there's
Yeah.
some of those challenges and some of those that I've consulted with people and they've told me, and I'm expecting, I'm kind of, bracing for the storm, so to speak, but I'm going to have to figure it out. I'm going to have
Yeah.
to through it still. So that's kind of and there's no timeline. Like once I get the model, once I get the package of like, here's how we do a flooring company that gets to 15 million. Well, then I can do, Charlotte flooring, Memphis
Yeah.
flooring, uh, insert any major
That's right.
metropolitan.
Yeah.
So it's like once the model is nailed down, then it's just, easy breezy. But I think getting there is, and I've heard this from a lot of people, getting to that, 0 to 1 is a big lesson. One
Yep.
to five, big lesson. Then 5 to 10 is a big lesson.
Yep.
But then once you get to 10, like, and you're stable, like getting from 10 to 100 is pretty easy. It's just time and people.
Yeah. Yeah.
The systems are there, So at least that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I've
But
heard the same thing, Warren, and I just love the fact that you have a big vision like that. I think that I want everybody to hear that. I mean, people should be dreaming that way, like exponentially bigger than where you're currently at right now. And I think that has the ability to just drive so much momentum, so much energy towards, a big vision like that. I just think that's such a beautiful thing. So as you're kind of working towards that vision, like you said, I mean, I think you said 30 years out, but I just love it that you're even thinking that far ahead because most people don't. But what do you feel like is the thing that you got momentum in right now for Raleigh Flooring? Is it something that I mean, you mentioned systems and kind of developing that or revamping the team? What's the thing that you feel like y'all are humming right now on?
yeah, yeah. I mean, these past couple months have been a very very weird season for me. Usually around this time of year, like I struggle with motivation. I struggle with drive. I'm like kind of in my head about what am I even doing? And usually it's around this time of year where I'll invest a lot in kind of a coaching program or a conference or seminar training. And I kind of get I've noticed that historical pattern. This year, it's like going through that feeling again of like, I'm just not, just don't, like I'm questioning the drive. I'm having kind of that seasonal kind of downness, I guess you could say. And in a lot of ways, I've stopped pushing the boulder up the hill. But because of all the work that I've done in the, 5 years, in the 4 years past, like the boulder's still getting pushed. It's
Yeah.
slow, but it's still going. And I'm not doing, I'm not doing much. Like I'm really not. And it's just a weird feeling of like there's these people that I've been, I do, we do our team meeting Mondays. I do one-on-ones on Friday. And sometimes it feels pointless, but I'm just going to keep doing
Yeah.
it. And,
Yeah.
just asking questions, trying to grow better as a coach. Cause ultimately that's what my role is, coaching my team to solve problems on their own and have
Yep.
agency. A lot of what I've invested in personal development that's the fruit of that. But
Yep.
at the same time, there's also this kind of ticking, and that's why, next year I made an intentional choice to grow operations and grow out the operations side so that doesn't require me. And before I ramp up the sales, because if I ramped up the sales myself first, then I wouldn't have capacity to train operations because I'd be knee deep in the operations.
Yeah.
Um, I can't remember what your question. Oh, like where I'm at now. So that's
Yep.
that's kind of where it's like I see this big organization, this big system that's actually working. Like it's
Yeah.
moving, and that's exciting. But that's also, I think for me, because I was heavily like, it's easy for me to do operations and feel productive.
Yeah.
Well, for me to serve the vision that I have, the vision that I think the Lord has for me, the vision that, um, where I'm supposed to be and who He wants me to be as a husband, father, and a leader. Like I can't do that. I can't distract myself with feeling productive by doing
Yeah.
operate. I've got to truly delegate that and
Yeah.
truly, and being an introvert, the people side, talking to people, talk, embracing conflict, working through challenge, like that's not fun, but that's the role and that's where I'm headed. So yeah, it's a new feeling
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see
For sure.
the thing kind of moving and I'm not really doing much.
Yeah. Well, Warren, I think I've heard it said before that when you figure out the system that has the ability to compound on itself and you really just need time to your advantage, don't quit when you get bored, right? And so you mentioned like the Monday meetings and the Friday one-on-ones. I think there's so much power in that and you've seen fruit come from that. it's just hard to continue to do the same thing in the rhythm of the business for years on end because we all get bored with that stuff. But there's power in the ability for the consistency to compound over time. And so I think there's so much wisdom with what you're doing. You're like, even if I'm not excited to show up for this thing, like I still got to do it because there's fruit that's going to come from it because I know it's going to, build things over time. The same thing with systems and all those things, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a brilliant thing. So, okay. Like you said, on the flip side of the momentum, I'm curious, you mentioned a couple things there, but on the bottleneck or like the hole in the boat that you're trying to break there right now, you mentioned, getting to that place as a leader from a standpoint of being the coach, being the motivator, being the person that's, building the people for the people to then build the business. But then also you mentioned a little bit about cash flow. So let's talk about maybe both of those things, or maybe if there's other bottlenecks that you can think of, feel free to bring those up. But I'd love to kind of dive into that world that you're focused on right now.
Absolutely. I mean, real practically, right? Okay, so if I hired an operations person before, I've got one salesperson right now. I've got a really solid system. I've already done a few interviews for some new salespeople, and I've got one, hopefully two, starting in at the start of the year. I've got the marketing pretty much dialed in. I can zoom out. I've got pretty good healthy stream of lead aggregator, local service, Facebook. Like I've kind of got all that figured out, and
Yeah.
I pump the gas on that and ramp up the leads. So like all that makes sense. But instead of doing that first and building up the nest egg, building up the cash, I wanted to hire operations first. I want to pay top talent because a big part of our value proposition to the client is you got someone managing your project, you got someone kind of holding your hand throughout the system. It's a full turnkey. We'll go in once we replace your flooring, we'll move your furniture, we'll paint the quarter rounds afterwards.
Yeah.
It really been a really solid 5-star like experience that's really like customers really like doing that. Hiring an operations person first, because really one operations person should be able to manage the volume of three to four reps. So
Yeah.
I got one rep right now, so that's a big cash constraint because I'm kind of making a bet there
Yeah.
because I'm kind of forecasting, and that's a strategy move, which like the business is all about. And I'm learning this. It's more of this, the resource delegation, the strategic moves. Whereas the past couple of years, I've just kind of been in the okay, we just need to get this job done. We need to
Yeah.
get this done. And so coming out of that and kind of starting to make some more strategic moves, that was one of the big ones that I made. And with a new salesperson who's the salesperson I got's awesome. He's already we've hit record numbers for the past, except for November. Like the past 3 months were like record month, record month, record month.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And but with that comes a little bit more financing. I'm not used to doing more financing deals, and so that additional cash constraint because I'm not getting half up front.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all these little things that kind of come into play where okay, I'm looking at kind of what's supposed to come in versus what's actually coming in. And because operations is learning, like some projects are maybe getting a little delayed just because there's, you know, he had someone move the furniture and then there was a little nick on nice hardwood floors that we refinished. Not a big deal. We can fix that, but it just added time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's just all these kind of little things that add up kind of at the end of the month, I'm like, okay, wow, we're pretty tight right now. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like I can't. Um, that instills a little bit of fear of me pumping the gas, or on the systems that I know work, because that's going to be a bet. I mean, that's going to
Yeah.
be a bet that I'm pretty confident will work, but it's still a bet nonetheless. And
Yeah.
kind of balancing that of knowing this about myself that I'm an easy customer. If every customer is like me, like where do I sign? Like that's kind of how I am. So it's easy for me to just go all in, keep going all in, and I
Yeah.
know that about myself, and so I'm actively resisting that. But then because of the decisions I've made, I see I'm going to have to make a similar play. So yeah, it kind of all compounds upon itself. But that's really that's a big constraint where I'm at now. But then I'll hear someone like which I can't remember how we got connected, but profit solves all problems. So just go sell some more. So it's like then I fire myself. All right, I'll just go sell some more. But then I'm like, okay, well, I need to delegate this so that I can get more of the ownership position and more of the coaching position. But so it's a balance of where do I step into the business, need to step in versus where do I need to actually step out and let go.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. Warren, I think, yeah, I mean, you drilled it right there from a standpoint of every season you have to invest before you see the return. And
Yeah,
obviously, and it doesn't matter. I feel like every season of business forever, as long as you're continuing to want to grow and get bigger, which obviously you have that big vision, every season is going to require an investment up front to see the return and the payoff afterwards,
yeah,
which is always, it doesn't matter. I just fully believe, even when you're at 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, there's these things where you're like, man, we're still kind of strapped on casket. I had to make an investment to then go into the next thing, right? And so, to your point, and going back to your comment you made, I think that is a false conception a little bit out there. At least for me, I believe that because we're in finances all day, every day, and I love it. But when people like genuine think that revenue solves all issue, if you focus on rail sales and revenue, if you're selling things that aren't making a profit,
right.
then it doesn't solve you anything. It just causes you way more headaches, and you should have never sold it, right? And so there's a key difference, obviously, of like saying, okay, well, if I'm selling something, then make sure my margins are there so we can actually create and reinvest in the business and all things.
Yep.
So I love it.
And even the
Go
plan
ahead.
for because I'm sure any home service person, we've committed to we just do floors. That's what we're good at. But then someone asks about, oh, well, if you're painting the baseboards, could you paint my house? Could you paint? And it's like, well, because of cash, I kind of want the job, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
willing
yeah,
to take it. But then I'm putting operational stress on my team because they don't know how to manage a paint job. So it's like
yeah,
it takes discipline to
100%.
even when I really want to say yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's such a great point, Warren, I think. And the crazy part for you is you have the painting background. So it's like it would be a very easy yes for you to say yes to. But the discipline, I think, is what's going to allow you to drive further faster because it's like, man, if you say you know your sweet spot, you want to be the best quality in that sweet spot, and saying no to everything else that's not inside of that sweet spot is what's going to continue to drive you forward. So love that, man, so much. Okay. If you could put yourself in your shoes 3, 4, 5 years ago and starting the business, figuring things out, is there anything you wish you would have tracked or maybe thought about profit or margin differently back then that maybe you've learned along the way? Or what is that? How do you kind of view that now, 5 years in?
yeah, that's been a huge area of growth for me. Just knowing the value of what and believing what I'm going to bring to the table and the lengths that I'm willing to go to make sure that you're happy. I'm a people pleaser at heart, so
Yeah.
it's like when I first started, I was at like a 30% gross, and it's just like I was leaving and I was chasing commercial stuff too. So I
Yeah.
would kind of split commercial residential, and the commercial was bigger ticket but lower margin, and 90 maybe if you're lucky when it's done. So it's like that kind of got me in trouble. So knowing the length that I'm willing to go to, which I know is far greater than anyone else. If anyone else has an issue and they call the company, I hear it time and time again, and they just gave me the ring around. They gave me the run around. I can't get a hold of them. It's like
Yeah.
we care people, and learning how to communicate that up front, and then charging for it on the upfront too, and communicating the value, like the skill
Yeah.
of communicating value, such that we can have a 50-60% gross, and then
Yeah.
which translates to a 20% net, which is our
Yeah.
goal, as
Yeah.
opposed to I know a lot of companies that are like 1 to 5% net, and it's just like you can't grow a company. You can't grow a company on 1, 2, 3% net. And with the big vision and the something that I tell our team too is like this, we're worth this. And for us to continue to make the experience for the customer better, we need to attract more people that are fantastic and awesome at what they do in order to
Yeah.
afford those people in the same way that I can afford you now. It's like we got to keep growing. We've got to keep getting after it, and holding the line on where this is what we're worth, and this is why. And knowing that and believing that has been huge. And I think I almost don't know if 3-4 years ago, even if I visit myself in a time machine, if I told myself back then that uh, I think I just had to go through the pain of
Yeah.
follow Alex Ramosi. He said, "Pain, you got to pay down your ignorance tax." Like
Yeah. Yeah.
ignorance tax I had to pay down, and I don't think, even if it was me telling myself that, like even if it's the Lord of the universe telling me that, it's like I've just got to pay down the ignorance tax.
Yeah.
Learned the lesson the hard way, unfortunately.
Yeah, I get that, and that's so true in so many areas of life, right? Where you just have to, you're not gonna listen to wise counsel or anything like that because you have to experience it, right?
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
so it is just so true. But I love like the way I frame it, going back to your point, like your focus is to say, like, let's get to that 50 or 60% gross profit so we can produce the 20% net that you're shooting for. And I even love thinking about this. Like, if you're saying, man, there's people out there that are only doing like 1 to 5, let's just say they're even doing 5. That means they have to bring in 4x the amount of revenue to bring in the same amount of profit that you're shooting for at 20. So it's like, would you rather manage a $40 million business or a $10 million business for the same payout, you know?
Right. Right.
And so you have to think about those things as a business owner to be like, you can't revenue it. That's why that whole phrase talks about revenue is vanity, right? So it's like, and so when you look at just revenue stuff, it can trick you because you can do crazy. It's the fun number to talk about because it's the biggest number on the page,
Yep.
but that doesn't always mean you're making money.
That's revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, or is that how it
Yeah,
goes?
cash is king. That's
Yeah.
how it finishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's so good one. Well, cool. Is there anything else as we kind of wrap up today? Is there anything else we haven't talked about today that just fires you up or that's kind of on your heart to talk about?
Yeah, we can close with this. This has been really a theme of the past couple months of me really thinking through like what motivates, like why am I driven to do what I do, and what is the motivator behind a lot of entrepreneurs. And I know for me starting out, it was fear. It's like a fear of, I don't want to let you down. I want you to hold me in a high respect. Like fear,
Mhm.
it's like all these fears of not being a good enough provider, not being a good enough whatever. And that's a very powerful motivator and it's served
Yeah,
me well. But it's almost like transitioning from a gas engine to a diesel engine, to where fear is the motivator, that was the motivator, to transitioning to joy is now the motivator.
that's good.
Even, as we're talking this, season of Advent, I think this week is the joy. I've really been sitting with, what does it mean to be fueled by joy? What does it mean to be, that's the difference between I have to go to do this warranty claim to I get
Yeah,
to serve this person exceptionally well. And it's easy to say that, but to actually believe it and like have that feeling of someone calls in, I'm like, ugh, to
yeah,
someone calls in and with an issue, I'm like, great, I get to serve
yeah,
even better. And they get to see why they made the right choice in choosing me.
yeah,
I think that translates in every relationship, even with my wife, we have a Berkey water filter and I hate filling that thing up. Drink I'll drink from the tap, I don't care. But I get to fill up that water Berkey because my wife really appreciates it. It translates into every aspect.
for sure.
With my kids, I get to kind of coach them through this tantrum that he's having, and I can be calm, I can be as opposed to just respond like, "Dude, just shut up, like get over it,"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I've really been thinking on that, and I think that can only come from, it's counterintuitive because that only comes from sitting in the secret place, from
Yeah,
sitting and tuning out everything and just sitting and getting that fellowship with the Lord. It's counterintuitive because my tendency is, let me just get after it. Let me go sell more. Let me make more calls. Let me go do more. And actually, to get where I want to go, to get even farther than I even think I'm capable of, I actually have to stop, sit down, and
yeah.
rest. It's like you got to go slow to go fast, which is really hard for me. I've got an addictive personality. I can get addicted to business. I can get addicted to the game. To sit and slow down is really hard. Uh,
Yeah.
it's really challenging. But that's kind of, I've been sitting with that for a while now, of trying to transition from fear to joy. Joy is the fuel, not
Yeah,
fear.
that's so good, Warren. I love that. There's two things I think about when you bring that up, man, because that's a challenge for me too. And I've heard an organization that I so respect, one of their values is choose joy.
Mm,
So it's a choice,
yeah.
which you kind of think about, right? And so, like, it's a choice to spend time with the Lord to renew yourself. It's a choice. And so, like you said, I feel like can't be found anywhere on the planet. It has to come from our Lord. But then you have to also have the ability to choose
Right.
to like
Right.
have that perspective and to like change the mindset and be renewed. And so I think that's just like you said, whether it's parenting, it goes into every aspect of your life. I think that's such a beautiful thing, man. And to your point about fellowship with the Lord and spending time, this is something that I've been challenging myself, and I love that you brought that up too, is that I kind of view the Sabbath that way, right? The way I picture the Sabbath in my mind is like the Lord obviously like taught us how to do that and the reasons behind it. Almost view it like the Sabbath is a slingshot. And so when you spend that day, whether it's a full day or a mini Sabbath in the morning, or anytime that you're renewing your spirit and renewing your mind with the Lord, like it's just the power of pulling back the slingshot, right? If you can
Yeah.
see my hands.
Yeah.
And then the other 6 days of the week, you fire that thing off and it's got massive propulsion behind it because you've spent the time to renew
Yeah.
and set things in priority. And I think it's just such a powerful, powerful thing. So, man, I love it, Warren. I love what you're doing. Love hearing your heart behind it. Love hearing your vision of where you want to go. I fully believe it's going to happen, man. I'm standing with you in that. The Lord's going to continue to direct you and the Holy Spirit's going to guide you to be on that path, man. I'm fired up. So, and if I'm ever in Raleigh, you better believe I'm knocking on your door to come find you, man. We're to grab lunch.
Please do.
I love it, Warren. Well, thanks so much. If anybody wants to know more about Warren, Raleigh Floors, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah. Raleigh Flooring Instagram is at Raleigh Floor, and then mine's just at Warren Bristol. I've been doing a lot of social media stuff, so getting a little silly on there. I'm trying to build some traffic, but it's been fun.
I love it, man. Yeah, go check them out. I actually was just watching one of your videos about you were talking about using floor samples to fight off people breaking into the home. It was hilarious.
That's an example of being silly. There's a little office sketch that, so it's those
I love it.
video guys' ideas, and I'm just like, all right, if you think it's gonna work.
That's so good, man. I love it. That's awesome. Well, we'll definitely put those links in the show notes. Warren, thanks so much for being on today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.